And I'm James Gunn, and my sidekick, Christian Cano, partner with Gunn, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jim's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Good morning, everybody. It is Two Queers in a Truck time with Giuseppe and Christian. And what exciting times. We're broadcasting live from Hollywood. And
live from Hollywood.
Live from Hollywood Studios. It's Saturday night. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
Actually, they broadcast from New York. But anyway, I am broadcasting from Hollywood, California. And it's where I live now, and in fact, to be truthful, in all transparency, West Hollywood, which is the gateway in LA, so it's about as flaming as you can get. Their crosswalks are rainbow colored, and it's pretty much as queer as Christian's background, which like you drag queens and and all that. So if you do visually watch this and you don't listen to the podcast version or the audio version, and of course I have the San Francisco Bridge behind me, which is kind of funny because I'm in California now and I probably should do an LA scene of some sort.
Ironic. Yeah, you should get some West Hollywood backgrounds on there.
Oh yeah, so, there's plenty of it. There's plenty of it.
Exactly.
Like, I can tell you that it's pretty extraordinary. But we are in the thick of things. International Pride Month, but it's also tomorrow is Juneteenth. Tomorrow will be June 19th. If you're seeing this for the first time, it's June 18th. And as always, I like to talk about Juneteenth because it's extraordinarily important. Because Juneteenth, for people that don't know, June 19th, 1865 is when Texas slaves found out for the first time about the Emancipation Proclamation. Texas held that information from Texas slaves during the Civil War, which the Emancipation Proclamation happened in 1863, so they held this information for 2 years. Hence, traditionally speaking, Juneteenth was only celebrated in Texas and commemorated in Texas. At least when I was growing up, it wasn't so much a national thing, or at least I did never see it as that. It's picked up steam, I know, over the decades, and it's been acknowledged more and more. And it is important for American history, but also Texas history, and to denote how bad things can be, and how horrific things are. And that wasn't that long ago. It's just, over a little over 140, 150 years ago when the Civil War happened, and it happened in this country. It didn't happen in a country, thousands of miles away. It happened right here. In fact, I moved away from a state that was heavily involved in North Carolina, and I grew up in Texas, two Confederate states, and I lived in Missouri for over a decade, which was, a battleground area too for the Civil War. Some of the most bloody battles happened not too far from where I lived, actually. So that it affected this country, and it's still, for another 100 years, Black Americans, Americans of color, really didn't have any more rights. They may not have been slaves technically, but they didn't really run to the acceptance or even have basic human rights as we know them as white Americans and everybody else. Like, they still went through a lot, segregation, Jim Crow, so on and so on. Like, it didn't get disproportionately better anytime soon. They spent another 100 years until the civil rights passages in the 1960s, 100 years later. And then honestly, it stayed in court up even now. Like, the fact that we still got to have a movement in the 2020s called Black Lives Matter, that we even have to say that,
Exactly.
says everything about our country. It says how racist it is.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the more qualified of the two presidential candidates was a woman of color, and that she lost to a infantile moron that is pretty much senile and unqualified in any way to lead any kind of organization, much less the United States. That is running around like Don Quixote chasing windmills and eating McDonald's fries and looking like an idiot. And the dude is a moron. He is an absolute moron.
You're being kind.
I'm literally laying up because he is the Mango Mussolini. He is the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
When you look at a guy like this, and you see how horrible he was in 2020 when the Black Lives Matter and the slaying of George Floyd, the horrific slaying of George Floyd, as we saw those 9 minutes play out. And let me tell you something. I'll remind y'all, we talked about it in 2020 on the shows. In fact, that was kind of the birth of this show. Was that all that? In fact, this show began in June of 2020. Is kind of an after show, but also kind of a protest show, just as does our sister show, Coffee and Pandulce. We talked about, in fact, we went down to one of the marches, and during the end of one of the marches for the Black Lives Matter movement and some of the other movements tied to it, is that they commemorated by us all taking a knee onto the concrete for the 9 minutes to give us some sort of feel what it like you got to have an intentionality to really hurt somebody if you put a knee on somebody's back for 9 minutes while they're laying on the ground, but not just the ground, not like dirt or anything that'd give, but on pavement, no less. And to put a knee in somebody's back and kill them that way is extraordinarily cruel. And the fact that people were still trying to defend this cop, this problematic murdering cop, this killer cop, and the fact that they tried to make it about George Floyd's past. And I'm going, yeah, he didn't do anything that deserved the death penalty, first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
It's not up to cops to just kill somebody because they don't like them, or because they maybe have had a petty criminal past, or whatever reason, or because they're black, or because they're trans, or because they're a black trans American. And so it gives me the red ass when I see mostly white people talk about Blue Lives Matter, like people are assigned being a cop at birth, which they're not.
Yeah.
You choose that. It's a profession. It has no real standards in America today. It takes more credited hours to become a hairstylist than it does to be a police officer. Think about that. Think about the last mass shooting of civilians from a hairstylist. I'll wait. The only thing they shoot that looks like a gun is a blow dryer when they do a blowout. Or maybe they get the dye just a little bit off of their hair. But typically you don't die of a haircut. But they go through more accreditation to be a hairstylist in every state than you do to be a cop carrying a gun and a taser. Y'all just let that soak in. And qualified immunity, which has given them way too much power over civilians that they're supposed to serve and protect. There should be no immunity for cops. If you kill somebody and it's not justifiable in any way, like it's not in self-defense, you should go to prison like anybody else. Let me tell you, the military has more standards for engagement than police officers do. And you're in war where people got bombs and guns on the other side. And this is why cops keep continuing to shoot people. Because 5 other people of color got murdered that day by cops as well. Not just George Floyd. 6 people got killed that day by police officers that were people of color. 6. Not 6 in a week, 6 that day. Let that soak in. George Floyd was the most obvious one because it was caught on video and it was 9 minutes long. Like he could have pulled up after 1 minute or 30 seconds. Oh, yeah, we got him already handcuffed. He's already on the ground. There's 6 police officers around this guy. Like, where is he going? The guy was known to be a gentle giant. He was not up swinging. He didn't resist arrest. He was literally calling for his mom. Let that soak in. Yes, we should be commemorating Juneteenth. Black lives does matter. And if you don't think it do, unfollow me. Do not follow me. If you don't think Black lives matter, you can fuck all the way off. Really. Take your lower lip and pull it over your head and swallow. Okay? That's just as simple as I can make it. If you don't think Black Americans, we should be ashamed of ourselves. As somebody that's white passing, we don't do enough. Can you imagine being Black in America? I know I can't imagine it. I get pushback from what I look like as a genderqueer person, but I got white skin. I got blonde hair. It might be box blonde, but it's still blonde hair. I got blue-green eyes. I got all the features that get me the get out of jail free card and then some. I'm a 6 foot tall blonde living in California. I don't have a tough life. I'm not going to be targeted. I'm not going to be rounded up and deported by ICE. People are not going to cower in fear of me because I'm Black and tall. And to live that life and to go through the things that Black Americans go through. And the 20s, like this is the 2020s. We should have flying cars, not people gunned down because they're Black. That their only reason why they're shot by civilians and by police is because they're Black. That's the only reason. Biking while Black, walking by being Black. It's like the Black jogger that got murdered in Atlanta a few years back. He picked the wrong neighborhood. He didn't know it at the time. But because he was jogging in the Black, it was a white guy, he wouldn't have even been, nobody would even give a second guess. But because he was Black, he got shot and murdered and literally executed in the street by 3 men. And the original prosecutors in the case did not want to prosecute him. They stonewalled it for months, trying to bury the story. And the media, to their credit, did not allow the story to be buried. So yes, we need things like Pride, Juneteenth, Black History Month. Why? Because the fuckery's still going on. You know, like, if you all don't want to see rainbow flags and Black Lives Matters t-shirts and marches and riots and stuff, then fucking get your shit together. It's just that simple. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Go by the golden fucking rule. Love thy neighbor. If I'll quote the Bible, Jesus de Cristo, I'll quote him. By the way, I'm 99% sure Jesus was gay. Hung out with 12 dudes all the time washing each other's feet. Happy Pride, Jesus. But come on, guys. If you guys would ever go by the golden rule and go by the bullshit that you recite because you have to on Sundays, it would be extraordinary if Christians actually asked to act like Christians and went by any of the teachings of Christ. Because Christ was a man of color. Where he lived is North Africa. For you chuckle fucks, there was no white, Swedish-looking people living there. Nobody looked like me with blonde hair. There was no 6-foot-tall blondes walking around with blue eyes, knocking on the door with a gun, going, "You got any Mexicans in there?" No. He was dark, had curly hair, man of color, promising. If Jesus existed, which is debatable, that's what he would have looked like. Matthew, Paul, Luke, and John as well. They probably didn't have names like that in Aramaic. Like Jesus is not even a name in Aramaic or even Greek. Totally manufactured name. True story. But yeah, you guys treat people better. You don't have to worry about Black Lives Matter or rainbows. Anyway, we're up against our first break, and we'll be right back with some more Two Queers in the Truck. Hey, y'all, this is Jenny with Two Queers in the Truck, and Christian's along with me. And we're just having fun, and we're looking forward to the 2025 season, and super excited. We have some neat things going on in our whole family of shows, including Coffee and Pan Dulce, and many new shows that are brewing. Get it. And we are excited for 2025 and all the chicanery and other things that comes with it. So happy New Year, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Bye, boo.
Bye, boo. Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening to Two Queers in a Truck. And we do broadcast on YouTube and Facebook in a video version. And we're also on all the audio platforms out there. So your favorite way to listen to your podcast. We've been doing this for a couple years, and we appreciate y'all listening. We know you have a ton of choices, even though we may be the best choice. We always appreciate our listeners, and we'll try to bring you quality in the future. Thanks for listening. As always, Christian and Jenny, we're out. Thank y'all. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Two Queers in the Truck Show 2025 edition. We have a new special show that is coming on as part of the Canis Media family of shows, and it's the Tony Foreman Show. And they're going to talk about a little bit different things than we typically talk about on the Coffee Show or the Queer Show that we often reference. And it's going to be a little bit more of a serious show, a little bit more of talking about very specific issues amongst Latin, Latino men and Hispanic men. Tony Foreman is the Afro-Latino, and then I'm assuming that Christian's going to be on the show as well, which is a Latino male, a Tejano, and they're going to talk about things that are probably important to their generations, to what's going on in pop culture and where they fit in the world. And I guess that's always the existential question: why am I here? But anyway, if you want to know why you're here, and you whether you fit in that demographic or not, it should be interesting. I know Tony and Christian will keep it light and funny, and probably a little bit of silliness in there too, to boot. Well, I'm looking forward to listening to it myself and not having to actually produce a show all the time. But please tune in at 10 o'clock on Wednesday mornings when that show drops, and enjoy more shows from the Canis Media family in 2025. Thank y'all. But I do find it funny that people get so upset about rainbow flags and Black Lives Matter. Man, do they get upset. They lose it. They can't stand the rainbow flag, which is so weird because, if we sat around, I guess, talked about Noah all day, they wouldn't bother them. But they see rainbow flag and gay people, or even think it's for gay people, they lose their fucking mind. And I don't know why. But I did want to talk about Jonathan Joss a little bit more. He was a 59-year-old actor. He was the voice of John Redcoin. That was the name of the character on King of the Hill. He was killed while going to check his mail. He was executed or gunned down for checking his mail. Let that sink in. And the house that they were in, or the home they were in, was their second or third home that they'd had. One of them got burnt down. They got ran out of one neighborhood. Of course, it's Texas. What a shocker. There is a lot of other things. Oh yeah, that is true. That somebody put the skull of his dog by the mailbox of Jonathan Voss's house when it was burnt down. This is stuff that was purposeful, for cruel. Christian and I both grew up in Texas. We know how problematic it can be. And being queer in Texas is not the most fun thing in the world. It still isn't. A lot of transgender people and transgender families have left Texas in the last few years because of the crazy ass authoritarian attorney general that is now got the transitional records of every transgender in America right now. He has sued every state and won, and has got the transitional medical records of every transgender America living in the United States right now, including mine. I don't know how that doesn't violate HIPAA. I don't know what right he has to investigate our deal. But again, the reason why we have Pride Month, the reason why we commemorate Juneteenth, the reason why History Month, and I can keep going on and on and on. The reason we have to do this, for the chuckle fucks that are listening that don't think we should have these commemorations and celebrations, enjoy your privilege. If you're not affected by extraordinary hate, count yourself lucky. Count yourself lucky and hope that you don't have any loved ones that are in the crosshairs of hateful fucking Nazis. Where you have to make decisions on where you eat or where you walk to, or even what times you check your own fucking mailbox. What it's like to be a woman walking alone to your car at night. What it's like to even be black during the day and going for a jog. Things that if you're a white male in this country, you never have to question. If you're a white straight male, not only are you a minority in this country by population, but you also have a tremendous amount of privilege. you are the one causing these problems. You're the one driving these movements against, or you're not checking your fellow white men. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. That's just the way this thing works. Or if you chime in going, well, blue lives matter too, after another black man gets shot in the streets by a cop, usually a white cop, for absolutely no reason. Serve and protect does not mean shoot on sight, ask questions later. That's not legal in any way or ethical, nor should we have people walking around with guns if they're not qualified to handle them and doesn't have the brains to not shoot somebody with a cell phone instead of a gun. If you can't discern the difference between a cell phone and a firearm, you should not be a police officer. If the pressure of the job is too much for you, you shouldn't be in that profession, or you should be remanded to a desk where the worst thing you're going to do is spill coffee on somebody in an office. But you should not be in the field with a firearm. Period. End of story. Nobody should give you a sidearm. Nobody should give you body armor. You should go through life without a gun, without body armor, and see how tough you are. Just like the civilians y'all shoot in cold blood in the streets. Unarmed civilians, just living their lives. But nobody that maybe has done a petty theft or maybe slung a little bit of weed here and there or whatever, that is non-violent offender, not in the commission of doing a violent crime, should be gunned down in the street. Nobody with an expired tag or a taillight out that gets pulled over should ever have to fear for their life because they're black. Women should be able to walk down the street naked and not worried about being assaulted sexually. The short skirt does not mean there's an invitation for assaulting them. And I can go on and on and on, but the bottom line is nobody should fear for their life or their safety or their jobs because of who they are. It's just fucked up. And in 2025, I shouldn't even have to say this. I shouldn't have to say this to other adults. I feel like the United States has become a whole nation of special needs people. It's like our country's become dumber. Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in the Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye. Happy Pride. Hey, everyone. Hey, thanks for listening for Two Queers in the Truck. And got an exciting new show coming on this year for our Canis Media listeners, which is basically the Coffee and the Two Queers show, including the one you're listening right now. We have a new one called Esperaz K. And it's with an exciting young host that we've had as a guest host in the previous years, named Urente. And he's really going to talk about the focus on young Latino and Hispanic community issues and challenges that come with being young and being Hispanic in America. And honestly, there's a lot of interesting topics. And of course, he has a perspective of a Gen Z person, which is way different than Christian and I were on the opposite end of life. But it's fun. It's fascinating. I know he's always been a great guest. I look forward to listening to his shows in 2025, as should you. I think it's going to be a special treat. It's like the Guns and Knives shows. We have guns and we have knives. So anyway, listen to our family shows. We start dropping on Wednesdays at about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And we keep on dropping the shows until they're all dropped like Easter eggs.
Drop.
It is weird, though, that the Easter Bunny doesn't lay eggs. But anyway, I hope y'all check out Urente's new show, as is many of our other great new shows in 2025, plus our old standbys. And we'll rock out 2025. Thanks for listening, as always.
Bye, y'all. Bye, boo.
Bye, boo.
Hey everybody, this is Yorense from Esperake. Happy Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a special holiday. It is a day where slavery was finally abolished, and it's a holiday we should celebrate and be proud of because this is American history where we changed. We did some change. It wasn't much. They still have slavery in the Constitution, but is enough to keep the ball rolling and for people to be treated as human beings. I want anyone who's listening and watching this to remember this day. Remember the heroes who fought day and night to make sure people are treated as humans and make sure to never take advantage of all the freedoms and rights you have, because so many people bled and worked their asses off to make sure everybody has those freedoms. Thank you guys for continuing to supporting this show. Have a wonderful Juneteenth and fuck fascists.
There may have been an argument at one time, and I don't know if this is really valid, but at one time maybe we could say this country wasn't smart enough to know better. I don't really buy that either. What we did in the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries were just as wrong no matter what it was. But goddamn, y'all, in 2025, we fucking know better. There is no excuse for this, no matter how old you are. If my 82-year-old dad can accept that I'm transgender and a woman and call me Jenny and still love me, you motherfuckers can change, Tara. It's just that simple. There, 2025, we got all the tools. We got the Google machine. We have the Apple computer, we have all the technology, we got the interwebs, we got the fucking social medias. If you can't figure it out by now, if you can't buy a clue now, you are congenitally stupid and you're remanded to the shit, being the shit stains of history. I'll be honest. You got no business even voting. If you can't understand why shooting unarmed Black Americans is wrong, you're a fucking idiot. Or harming a transgender woman in every way, shape, and form, or a transgender kid because they're trans, taking the same medications that other people take. For fuck's sake. If you don't get it by now, I'm going to tell you, if you only understand it when it affects you, that's not empathy. That's pathetic. You're a fucking loser. That means you're so narcissistic and self-centered that the only time you're worried about something affecting you is when it affects you. You're only worried about the economy when the prices went up a little bit. You're only worried about, and by the way, and I'm going to say this again, if a person from El Salvador takes your job, you need a new career. All you motherfuckers cheering on these ICE detention camps, these Nazi roundup camps, and deporting people to everywhere because they're brown, you're an asshole too. You are a piece of shit. They didn't affect you. Mind your own fucking business. Quit supporting fascism. We're up against our second break, and we'll be right back after these important messages from Two Queers in a Truck. But I repeat some of these subjects because, fuck, you guys are some of y'all are so dumb. And I do realize that most of the listeners of the show are not dumb. You guys made the wisest choice to listen to the show. And our sister shows. And we have an amazing amount of sister shows. We got 4 of them rocking on. And some more big announcements the rest of the summer, from what I understand. I don't know. I don't handle that stuff. Christian handles all the business side of this. I just yabber on and he records it and then laughs about it and then edits it. I don't call myself the talent, but I guess that's technically what I am. But
Live from Hollywood.
Live from Hollywood.
Live from Hollywood.
look like knives and knives that look like guns.
That's right.
But damn, some of this stuff I just think it's weird that we're 5 years into this decade and 25 years into this century, this 21st century. We're a quarter of a way through this century. We're still having these conversations. I just thought as a kid that when the time I became an adult, that we wouldn't have as many of these conversations. I just assumed that adults in the 1970s and 80s were smarter, and they're not. Because the adults now, for the most part, especially the older Americans like Dumpster, they're fucking dumb as shit. All Republicans and a big chunk of Democrats are dumber than shit. The party leadership of the Democrat Party is dumb as shit. Really stupid. And I watched this, and I watched some of the milquetoast responses from Democrats that are afraid to defend Black Lives Matter and the LGBT community. And they'll come out this month. And they'll go to the thing on June 19th and act like they're the biggest ally in the world. And they'll, celebrate, Pride Month, and they'll do all the allyship, and things like that. But until you see it firsthand, or you have a love, it just blows me away because it exists. You like, we have the internet. We can look up. You can Google how many people of color were killed today by a police officer. How many this year? Those statistics are tracked by the FBI. The fact that it's a trackable statistic is bad enough. That there's a thing called TDOR, Transgender Day of Remembrance, every November 20th, that reads the names of the hundreds, if not thousands, of transgender people killed all over the world, including there's usually 20 to 40 to 60 names read off about transgender Americans murdered. We're a small part of the population, we're not even 0.5%. It tells you the fact that these things are tracked by the FBI. One thing that's not tracked by the FBI because it's so infrequent is transgender people assaulting women and children. It's such a low statistic, it's not even tracked by the FBI. But you know what is tracked? Pedophile men. Especially cops, pastors, and professors / coaches. The 3 Ps, policemen, pastors, and professors / coaches. The FBI's own statistics say the most common pedophile is white men between ages 25 to 55, usually straight, usually married. And there's several people, and I've talked about this before, but I like to talk about it again, only because during the Pride Month, we always hear about the groomers. I want my kid around a drag queen. Should be more worried about the Baptist youth pastor. By the way, is it just me, or does every Baptist youth pastor give the vibes that they're a pedophile? They always seem really excited to spend quality time with your kid. I could just tell you, the last person, I would rather have a drag queen in a full ballroom gown next to my kid than a youth pastor.
Yeah, they always feel creepy.
Oh, because they are. You know that they got a van somewhere with a sack of candy in it.
Yeah, it's.
Let me tell you something. If your job is to go take kids on retreats or special camps away from all the adults, and you're really excited about getting your hands on those kids, why is it that there's so many pedophile pastors, pedophile priests? Why is that profession still around if we have that many problems?
Yeah, good point.
Tell me the last 10 drag queens that have been arrested for pedophilia. Okay, 5. Tell me 5 that have been arrested for him. Bet you can't name one, much less 5. And maybe there's one that exists. But I can pull up pedophile pastors on all the social media platforms, and there's like a list. 100.
Like every week. Every week.
Yeah. You can't open the Twitter or the Instagram and not read about a pedophile pastor.
Yeah.
Why is that? One, because drag queens aren't authority figures. 2, they perform usually in nightclubs where it's 21 and up, so your kids shouldn't be there. And if a drag queen reads your kid a book, it's not going to turn them gay. A 5-year-old doesn't know the difference between a gay person and a straight person. They don't really. They know that the drag queen's reading them a book in a shiny costume, and that means the world to them. It ain't hurting you, boo. Because if that bothers you, if a drag queen reading a kid a book, a group of kids a book in a fucking library, if that bothers you, you got a lot of problems that have nothing to do with the drag queen. I can just tell you. You really are twisted mad. And in this Pride Month and this day before Juneteenth, we got bigger fish to fry than worrying about Black Lives Matter. Are people celebrating and commemorating the struggles they've been through on Juneteenth or Pride Month? You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. And if you're not going to be ashamed of yourselves, I'll shame you. I'm done with trying to. Not that I've ever stepped around it too much, but fuck if I'll do that anymore. In fact, over the next few months, I'll be making sure that I call out some Democrats in North Carolina. I'm going to call out some fucking milquetoast motherfuckers that cowered when Republicans came knocking on the door and they ran the other way. Democrats should be holding other Democrats accountable. Democrats have caused this situation more than Republicans. Republicans have always, Reagan was an asshole. Nixon was an asshole. Papa Bush was an asshole. Baby Bush was a big asshole. Republicans didn't just become problematic. And you guys knew about Project 2025. The jackass, that one of the big architects of it, that really doesn't want people to know who the fuck he is. We need to very much make sure we talk about it. A guy by the name of Russell Vogt, Voigt, Vought, Russell, Russell, is the architect of Project 2025 and the shadowy government figure within it that has been chokeholding the democracy. He does not want to be talked about. And I'm going to be posting about him and talking about him over the next few months and assholes like this. Elon Musk does need to be ragged on, but that's one of the reasons he quit, was he already changed and deleted the files that were going to incriminate his companies doing business with the government. He got in, deleted all the SpaceX investigations and a whole bunch of other stuff. He didn't really care about making the government more efficient. And the things he did make it more efficient. I promise. He just made sure that his fat wasn't going to fry. But Russell Vogt and many people like him, they created Project 2025 and this whole fascist Nazi movement of MAGA. We need to damn well make sure they're talked about. We need to make, just like cockroaches, we need to put a light on them and say, this exists. We need to talk about it. But this is the end of the show. For y'all that celebrate, happy Juneteenth. Find a community event near you tomorrow. Uplift Black Americans. Give them a hug. Say, Black lives do matter. And mean it. Don't be a selfish fuckface. Happy Pride to all of y'all that celebrate. And those of y'all that don't celebrate, don't be a sourpuss. It ain't gonna hurt you to wave a rainbow flag. It ain't gonna make you gay. You won't have gay sex tomorrow just because you support the LGBT community.
Unless you want.
If you celebrate Black Americans, ain't gonna make you black. Okay? All right? Don't be stupid. You fight hate with education. Read a book. Some of y'all need to read a book. Touching grass. Anyway, happy Pride. Happy Juneteenth. Love you all. Bye, boo. See y'all.
Bye, boo.
Hey, thank y'all for listening to Two Queers in a Truck. It is June 2025. Hope you guys are having fun. There's a lot of celebrations this month, a lot of things going on. But most importantly, if you live in a place that's really hot, bye y'all.
Bye, y'all. Bye, boo.